Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am Amanda,
I'm Laura.
And I'm Kendra.
and today is part 4 of our Blue Zones book club. Just a reminder before we get started to please rate and review this podcast and share it with friends. We are trying to spread physician wellness, and it would help. We can't reach everyone without your help. So, Kay, tell us about today.
So we are continuing our series on the Blue Zones, and I've said this several times, but just to introduce the Blue Zones and what they're about. Actually, before we start, just a disclaimer, with the things we talk about in this podcast and the other podcasts on Blue Zones is purely educational. We are doctors, but we're not your doctors. And so we are just spreading some goodness that hopefully you can take home with you, implement in your life. You choose whatever you want to do, but this is not medical advice, just educational. So here we go. So just a reminder that blue zones are pockets throughout the world where greater than expected percentages of people live to 100. So they are not just barely making it to 100. These centenarians are actually living well. They're active, their brains are sharp, and they are the ideal client that Dr. Peter Attia talks about in his book Outlive, that you live great until then you just die, not suffer for a decade or anything at the end of your life. These are people that go out well. And so in the series Blue Zones, Secrets for Living Longer, Lessons from the Healthiest Places on Earth, Dan Buettner mentions that Americans spend about 332 billion with a B, yearly trying to exercise, join gyms, cancel gyms, join the gym again, cancel the gym, taking every protein supplement, every vitamin they can get their hand on, or what TikTok and Insta are putting in their reels, right? Just to put it out there, we may be focusing on the wrong things. These blue zones do not invest this kind of money at all. While what we talk about is about a healthy lifestyle, we also want to remind you that true genetics, so these people don't have some kind of like supercharged genetics that like propel them to over 100. Really, true genetics only count for about a fourth of the differences in longevity between people. So those that make it to 55 or 105, right? The rest is really about your environment and lifestyle, and not just the area of the world you live, but the environment, the people around you, the things you surround yourself with, and the lifestyle you choose to lead. So some of the most common denominators in the blue zones are they eat a whole food, plant-forward diet. They move naturally and frequently throughout the day. So a lot of their daily activities include a lot of movement. And that's just like walking sometimes, right? They have a daily ritual like prayer, meditation. They take naps, right? Hashtag goals. It just really helps them to keep perspective. It helps them to downshift from the business of the day and reduce their stress. They tend to honor and keep their elders close. So like we said before, these are multi-generational families that stay close together in the same region. But it's also about a community that has built a family, right? So these aren't your families of origin. These are people that have stayed in the region, honor each other, the beliefs they hold. They do the same things. They have the same routine daily. And so that becomes a family, right? They have a healthy social support system, and they maintain a sense of purpose. And so we've talked about Sardinia, Nicoya, Costa Rica. We had one on Loma Linda, California. And so today we're going to turn our attention to Ikaria, Greece. And for all you Greeks out there, I apologize.
Yeah, this is what Apple iPhone is telling us the pronunciation is, so bear with us. It's not our fault.
So Ikaria is a remote Greek island in the eastern Aegean Sea near Turkey. Residents there live on average 8 years longer than the typical American. It's pretty remarkable. And have half the rate of heart disease and 1/5 the rate of dementia, which is amazing. And
Ideal.
interestingly, 1 in 3 there make it to their 90s, even though at the time that they gathered this information, 1/4 of them were smoking still. I mean, that's mind blowing to me. It's just like, wow, how
Huh?
did they do that? How do they do that? Hey, great news for us introverts. We can celebrate because in Ikaria, unlike other blue zones, residents tend to live in small, isolated homesteads rather than clustering in villages.
There's a place for me.
You can still live long and healthy without having a giant social network, apparently. They tend to be largely self-sufficient. They harvest and gather their own food, so they work late in their fields. This means late bedtimes, but frequent naps. My ideal right there.
That's definitely
A
my
place
jam.
for you too.
It's a
Yes.
place for
Maybe our
me
new-
too.
I
We might be
can.
relocating.
Right. We're
What's
going to get
up?
on Zillow this afternoon. Yeah. Research has shown that taking a 30-minute nap greater than or equal to 5 times a week can lower stress hormones and reduce your risk of heart attack by more than a third. So maybe that's at play. I did not know that. I usually get 1 nap a week, but I'm gonna dial that up some.
I like all this evidence we're steeping up on
Yes.
naps in
Yes.
favor of naps.
Yeah.
Me too.
I will say if you're an insomniac or have like sleep disorders, talk with your sleep specialist because sometimes naps can screw that up. But for the average person, let's go.
Right. Yeah. Ikaria has strong camaraderie there. So I guess there is the social requirement here.
We do have to talk to people, yes.
We do have to talk to people. They have allegiance to family first and then other islanders in the spirit of taking care of each other. They get together with family and friends regularly. In fact, of Icarians in their 90s, more than 75% of them socialize with neighbors, friends, or family daily. Okay.
They
yeah,
just
so this
get
is
to go back-
sounding...
Yeah.
This
But
sounds
they
more
get to
like
go back to
the
their
other
own
places.
hut, and there's not 90
Okay.
people in their own hut. How about that?
Okay.
I can go
So-
out and socialize. I just need. I don't want people on top of me.
No, you don't want a house full of people. Okay. So it's another hilly location and the inhabitants are very active. Walking up and down hills is
Mhm.
super healthy, guys, apparently. So more than 80% of people who are over 75 are still really active with moderate to high physical activity. Walking up and down those hills. They swim regularly in the Aegean Sea. I could get behind that. And they work in the family vineyard, walk up and down the steep hill to church or to the village. The Icarians have an extreme and unique version of the Mediterranean diet, which we already know is super healthy. The Icarians take it a step further. They include veggies, whole grains, fruits, fish, olive oil, goat's milk and cheese, and wine. What's different there is they consume less fish, but more potatoes, beans, and legumes like chickpeas, lentils, and black-eyed peas. And from what I can understand, though, eating legumes is like a secret to longevity.
Yeah.
And they eat wild greens like dandelion, chicory, and wild fennel. Well, you may have to socialize, but you get to eat your beans, and that will help you. Both will help you live a long, happy life. Dan Buettner writes of a man, Stamatis Mora. How do you pronounce this name? Moraitis. I think that's going to be it. Stamatis Moraitis, who in his 60s in the U.S. was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and given 6 to 9 months to live. And he decided he wanted to die in his motherland of Ikaria, so he moved. And then without intentionally changing anything, went on to live another 3.5 decades. When Dan met him, he was still going strong at 97 in 2012.
Oh,
That-
Stamatis.
Yeah. Way to
Team
go, buddy.
fascinating.
Stamatis.
Yeah.
Definitely
so
on Team Stamatis.
the title of this chapter was Ikaria, the place where people forget to die. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, we're building evidence for that. That sounds
I know. I was like, it's hard to argue with that. I don't know.
It just reminds you of like in the 1800s when people had tuberculosis, they didn't have meds to treat it. They would send them to places like this, with the sunny climate.
Oh yeah.
Then
Warm breeze.
nice.
Yeah,
They would go sit outside all day.
Force you
I
to
don't know
walk
if
up
they were eating
hills.
legumes.
But have you
What
guys
was
ever
that?
been to Asheville, North Carolina? I mean, that
Oh,
place. Yeah,
It's by Wake Forest. Girl,
right.
That's
right.
where we.
So that place was built just like this, a small blue zone, basically, because of the terrible air and everything in the Northeast and like New York and the cluster of like too many people. I mean, that's why that place was like founded, developed. Everything was on this idea of like clear air, nature.
Yeah, the 8 natural remedies that the Adventists talk about. Like, these things are free, guys, which is,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, maybe we don't need to be spending $300 billion on this stuff. Maybe we need to reset a little bit. So, takeaways from Ikaria. Number 1, this is again, mimic mountain living. Once again, we see the longest living are the poor. That defies Asheville a little bit, but they walk everywhere and they do their own manual labor. So just not that we listen, I will not be adopting that into my daily routine, but just remember that the importance of working movement into your everyday cannot be overemphasized. I will park farther in the parking lot. How about that? Number 2, eat a Blue Zones diet. Again, we see the largely Mediterranean diet, but the Icarian twist is less fish and more potatoes, greens, and beans. You know, we are obsessed with protein, but what we should be obsessed with is probably the amino acids, which if you have a legume plus a whole grain, that is the recipe for longevity around the world. You're getting your amino acids that way. Number 3, stock up on herbs. Icarians drink herbal teas, which are loaded with antioxidants, but also wild rosemary tea, sage tea, and oregano teas can be a little mild diuretic, and maybe that somehow helps with blood pressures. Don't know. Next, our favorite, naps. Enjoy a mid-afternoon break when you can to lower stress hormones and lower your risk of heart disease. It seems like cultures have evolved with this sort of pattern where you do a little bit of work, you nap, and then you finish out the day. I don't know, the modern workday doesn't seem to be a good fit with our own bodily circadian rhythms.
Yeah, I mean,
But
the Latino
anywho,
culture is the siesta. Hello, there's a
yeah,
reason there's a
absolutely.
name for it, and
I mean, that's what we see over.
that's my culture. I mean, my
Yeah,
great grandmother was huge on the afternoon nap.
yeah. But isn't it interesting how you see the same pattern over and over across cultures? So then maybe there's something wise about it. You know, the idea of the Sabbath, the idea of the nap, the idea of lots of things like that. Okay, so here is one special thing about Ikaria. They are devout Greek Orthodox Christians. And so what that means, I started looking it up after this because that's what I do is go in rabbit holes. Their religious calendar calls for fasting almost half of the year, some sort of fasting. And so not that you need to do that, but across many cultures and across many religions, there is the idea of an occasional fast. And so that's interesting. But because the Greek Orthodox Church requires some sort of fasting for half the year, that means that they're regularly eating less, which does seem to somehow slow the aging process. And then lastly, make friends and family a priority. Once again, social connections seem to be a common component over and over for overall health and longevity. So if it's been a while since you've hung out with your bestie, why don't you call him or her and make plans today?
Yeah, why don't you go out, get you some legumes and lentils and some whole grains and have everybody over.
Yeah.
Open that bottle of wine and connect, right? Here's your permission. Ready, go. So once again, we thank you for joining us for this next chapter on Blue Zones, and please help us to rate and review this podcast. Like Amanda said, it helps other doctors find us. We can't reach everyone, but the ripple effect of you leaving a review and then it going out and grabbing another person that leaves a review, and that ripple effect is what we're hoping for. So we've also recently launched our new version of Wellness 911. If you want more information, go to our website. It is www.thewholephysician.com. To get more information, we take demoralized doctors from fried to fantastic with our easy and evidence-based Wellness 911 program. So until next time, you are whole, you are a gift to medicine, and the work you do matters.
Thank you for joining us for the Drive Time Debrief. If this podcast has helped you, be sure to share it with others. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review so other doctors can find us. If you want to know more about what we do or work with us, go to our website at thewholephysician.com and schedule a free 30-minute strategy session. We'd love to help you create the life you dreamed of before things went awry. It's absolutely possible.